Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the January 6th public hearing. Do we have anybody here to talk on Ordinance -225?
Ordinance 2-225, an ordinance to vacate a certain public alley in the John J. Perkins addition to the city of Muncie, Delaware County, Indiana.
Hi there, my name is Alan Wisely and I'm with the law firm of Beasley and Gilkison. I'm here representing Avondale United Methodist Church, of which I am also a member. The church has occupied the same piece of property since the 1890s. However, in the original plat, there is an alley that runs east-west from Sampson and tees into a second alley. The church owns most of the property on either side of it, with the exception of two houses. Both of those homeowners are okay with vacating the alley. The entire alley is paved over as part of the church's parking lot, and it is where our handicap spaces are for the church and the wheelchair ramp for the church. All of the utilities were contacted. None of them have any objections. AEP is the only utility that has facilities there, and the church is reserving an easement for them. I also have Ed Armentrout here with me, who is the senior pastor at Avondale. I'll answer any questions you guys have.
Have any from the audience? Okay, thank you. Ordinance 29-24.
Oh, that was.
They were noticed for 7 o'clock.
Due to the weather.
The annexation.
Yeah.
They just noticed for 7, so we just 7 for circuit.
Okay. So we're adjourned until 7 o'clock.
Stretch.
We're going to resume our public hearing, ordinance 29-24.
Ordinance 29-24, an ordinance of the City of Muncie, Indiana, annexing certain territory to the City of Muncie, Indiana, placing the same within the corporate boundaries thereof, and making the same a part of the City of Muncie, Indiana. Annexation Area Number 1, portions of Farmington neighborhood.
Is anybody here to speak on that tonight?
Mr. President and members, my name is John Fallon. I live at 3905 West Heath Drive in Muncie 47304. And I'm here this evening representing the Farmington Neighborhood Association through its ad hoc committee on annexation. I'm joined here this evening by other members of the committee, some of whom you know, Robert Donati, David Hinkle, Kirsten Smith, and I hope he gets a chance to be here, Ronald Collins, who's a longstanding board member of the Farmington Neighborhood Association Board. Also with us this evening is Gary Wangler, who's the president of the Farmington Neighborhood Association. The purpose of my remarks this evening is twofold. First, to register an objection to the proposed annexation of the portion of Farmington subdivision, your Ordinance 29-34. And secondly, to request a retraction or a defeat of that ordinance proposition as it affects the Farmington subdivision. There's some background to this that you're likely familiar with. Subsequent to the city deciding to annex these properties, there were certified mail notifications of the annexation proposition sent to most of the residents, affected property owners in Farmington, not all, and I'll speak to that in just a few minutes. After that, there were informational meetings, very good informational meetings that went into the details of the annexation and how it affected our neighborhood. And then there was a general membership meeting of the Farmington Neighborhood Association, and at that meeting it was recommended that the Neighborhood Association establish a committee to conduct a poll of those affected property owners subject to the annexation. And that's when the ad hoc committee on annexation was established, and we proceeded to conduct that poll with the following pretty simple methodology. First, we sent 2 informational letters to all 59 affected property owners, and subsequent to that, we followed up with 1 informational email based upon some of the questions that arose from those 2 letters that we sent. Beyond that, there were many conversations among neighbors wondering about various aspects of this, and the committee itself received a lot of questions. And then we conducted some home visits, simply trying to meet with people to find out what they felt about the annexation. And the results of that poll were crystal clear. The majority of the affected property owners in the Farmington subdivision are against the annexation. The count to date is 40 affected property owners out of 59 against the annexation. And as we understand it, this meets the 65% threshold to void the annexation proposition per section 11.1 of the Indiana Code 36-4-3. There's a number of reasons for my neighbors feeling the way they do about this, and I'd like to share a few of those right now. First, our neighborhood enjoys a very good relationship with the County of Delaware. Last year, there were several different paving projects that were completed in our neighborhood, and as we understand it, there are a couple other paving projects scheduled for 2025. Those facts prompted a few questions. One of those is this: what is the city's plan for paving our streets in the future? Secondly, our fear is that our streets will begin to look like some of the other major streets in our city. We're not certain that the city has the resources to care for the streets in our neighborhood. Secondly, there are concerns voiced by my neighbors about police and fire response time without the engagement of additional personnel. What's the city's plan to cover considerably more properties without additional personnel? Third, there were concerns about tax increases. And we wonder if anyone has looked into the impact annexation would have on assessed value in our neighborhood. Next, several affected property owners, at least 4, perhaps more, were never notified about the annexation proposition. So we would ask, what steps has the city taken to ensure that all affected property owners are aware of the annexation proposition and its details? Next, property owners in my neighborhood see no benefit to the annexation and some likely liabilities. What benefit does the annexation portend for the Farmington Neighborhood Association? We've seen no plan proposed for what the city will do with the additional revenue from the annexation. Affected property owners in Farmington already pay for and enjoy an array of city services. And we ask, what will change? What's the plan? Neither the Farmington Neighborhood Association nor any group of affected property owners requested annexation. What's the rationale? What's the real rationale for the annexation, and what's the plan? It's difficult to believe that given the annexation of the other two areas, that response times for the emergency services we presently pay for will not increase. And finally, there was no formal or official communication about annexation between the City of Muncie and the Farmington Neighborhood Association, the official homeowners association in our neighborhood. And of course, while not required, formal communication with our neighborhood association would have been very helpful and very much appreciated. So the next steps for us now are to certify the affected property owners' positions as the basis for rendering the annexation effort null and void. And so I conclude this evening with a very respectful request, and that is this, that you would see fit to retract, in light of these comments, see fit to retract or defeat ordinance number 29-24 in the true spirit of neighborliness, in the true spirit of sensitivity to the wishes and interest and concerns of local residents, and in the true spirit of respect for the participatory nature of local government operations. Thank you so much for the opportunity to share.
Is there anyone else from the audience? Moving on to ordinance 30-24.
Ordinance 30-24, an ordinance of the City of Muncie, Indiana, annexing certain territory to the City of Muncie, Indiana, placing the same within the corporate boundaries thereof, and making the same a part of the City of Muncie, Indiana. Annexation Area Number 2, portions of Heron Point neighborhood.
Is there anyone here to talk about this from the audience? Anybody from Heron Point neighborhood? We'll move on to the next one. Ordinance 31-24.
Ordinance 31-24, an ordinance of the City of Muncie, Indiana, annexing certain territory to the City of Muncie, Indiana, placing the same within the corporate boundaries thereof, and making the same a part of the City of Muncie, Indiana. Annexation Area Number 3, city-owned parcel near Farmington neighborhood.
Is there anyone wishing to talk on this tonight for ordinance 31-24? Okay, we'll move on to the next one. Ordinance 32-24.
Ordinance 32-24, an ordinance of the City of Muncie, Indiana, annexing certain territory to the City of Muncie, Indiana, placing the same within the corporate boundaries thereof, and making the same a part of the City of Muncie, Indiana. Annexation Area Number 4, Westminster Village.
Is anybody here from Westminster Village? Anyone want to talk on this ordinance? Okay. Should do it. Okay, give us a couple of minutes and we'll reconvene for our city council meeting tonight. Just need a couple of minutes.
Brandon just went to fill his water bottle.
Sarah, running for the Farmington one, which number?
First one.
2924?
Yeah.
Okay. Dan, do you have a minute? No.
Wait on Brandon.
Brandon just,
Wait on Brandon. Good evening, everybody. I want to thank everybody for coming out to our January 6th City Council meeting. Can we all stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Can you lead us? Jeff, can you lead us?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Our invocation is going to be done by Jeff Green tonight.
Bow our heads for a word of prayer. Our precious Heavenly Father, we are so thankful to be able to come together as a community. Lord, as we're standing before Thee tonight in the lieu of all the things that need to be done for the city, we ask, Lord, that You would guide us and direct us as we step into a new year. Lord, we ask that we would come together to do that which is pleasing in Your sight and beneficial to all the people of the citizens of the city of Muncie. We ask, Lord, You would guide our thoughts. Help us, dear Heavenly Father, to make those decisions that are right. For we ask it all in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Tonight's citizen recognition is by NorPal.
I need to put my eyes on. This thing's getting old. Okay. Anyone on Facebook is most likely familiar with Moth Danner's work. Moth is a Muncie native. Her family has been in Muncie for 9 generations. She grew up spending time in her mother's bookstore, Danner's Books, being influenced by the likes of Shakespeare and other amazing authors. Like me, Moth moved away from Muncie in her 20s. She attended school and later lived in New York. But she returned to Muncie about 15 years ago, buying her home and planting roots of her own. Moth and her mother, Susan, also known as the Pie Lady, started baking together shortly after Moth's grandmother died. And 9 years ago, they ventured over to Hartford City to sell their baked goods at the Growers and Makers Market. And this is when Moth asked herself, why doesn't Muncie have something like this? And so later that year, with the help of her mother, she founded and opened the Muncie Makers Market with 2 goals in mind: to provide an outlet for local artists and bakers, but also to increase access to local goods. Moth sees the Makers Market and the other organizations and events that she's involved in as business incubators, creating opportunities for small business owners. Moth is the director of Muncie's Yard, which is Yard Sale for Art, which is a biannual giant makers event, which started in the 70s, originally held by BSU art students as a way to clear out their studios at the end of the year. Moth recently hosted her 29th Yard, which is pretty remarkable since her budget is zero and her volunteers usually are there only the day of the event. As the director, she urges artists to create a yard sale vibe by setting up their work on tables and keeping prices reasonable. Her strategy, again, is to promote local artists, as well as make local art accessible both in location and cost to Muncie residents. Moth told me she moved back to Muncie not only because of its affordability, which allowed her to buy her own home, but also to inspire community. And she's done just that. She's the leader of Muncie's local Stitch and Bitch group, which is a fabric arts group that gathers once a month. She founded Couplets, a local poetry group that meets monthly at the Cup. She served as a board member for the Muncie Arts and Culture Council and was awarded the 2021 Mayor's Arts and Cultural Council Award, which was the Artist and Community Award. Moth has started Facebook groups to promote poetry, a group to discuss gardening, a DIY home group, which I need to join. She founded the Hey Muncie page to promote events and raise awareness of the good things that are happening in Muncie. Moth is everywhere on social media and always promoting our hometown. She hoped by creating these groups, she would promote Muncie and draw people off campus and bring them into the neighborhoods and the downtown area so they could experience all the wonderful things that Muncie has to offer. As Moth and I began talking about all the events and endeavors she's involved in, she did what all good leaders do. She shared the credit. When I asked her about First Thursday, she told me how Deb Dragoo has always been a champion of First Thursday, or how Mike Martin gathered musicians for an event they collaborated on, or how Alan Adams created a Facebook which not only promoted Muncie but encouraged discussions and dialogue, which she doesn't do. She effortlessly listed these people who have carried the torch before her in these organizations and that are still active in these groups today. People like Tom Hartman and Dave Franklin, and with every name she said, the love for our city and the community that she has worked so hard to create came through. Moth is intentional in what she does, focused. She works tirelessly to build up organizations she's involved in order to give opportunities to the makers and the artists and the bakers. She champions Muncie and never fails to reach back and help others as she works toward her goals. I love Muncie, and so I'm drawn to automatically to people who also love Muncie. And so when brainstorming on who I'd recognize this month for this award, I thought of Moth. I don't think anyone who's been on social media for the last 5 or 6 years can deny that Moth Danner is the voice of positivity for Muncie. She reminds us all of the great reasons to call Muncie home. And so it's my honor to present the first Citizenship Award of 2025 to Moth Danner.
Thank you so much. You know, everyone who has stood here every month is a very impressive person, so I'm very flattered and honored to be a part of this. Recognition isn't the reason to do the things we do, but it sure feels nice, so thank you. And I know that everyone here feels the same as I do, which is that it's important to care and be involved and make Muncie better for everyone. That includes all of us. Thank you very much.
Next month would be Brandon Garrett for the City Council. Roll call, please.
Mr. Mason? Here.
Ms. Selby? Here.
Mr. McIntosh? Here.
Mr. Green?
Here.
Ms. Powell?
Here.
Mr. Garrett?
Here.
Ms. Donian?
Here.
Mr. Batson?
Here.
President Isham?
Present. Okay, we're going to move into reorganization. Do I hear a motion for a president of the Muncie City Council?
I'd like to nominate Harold Mason.
Second.
Is there any other? Roll call, please.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes. Mr. Basham?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
President Richmond?
Yes.
While we're moving, I just want to thank Jerry for the last year.
Absolutely.
It was a new council. A lot of them up here were new. We were kind of adjusting. Mr. Dishman did very well with his role as the president, so I'd just like to thank him for that.
Yep, thank you.
I got it.
Okay, first off, I'd like to thank this council for putting their trust in me. I pray that I'll be able to live up to whatever expectations they have of me. And we'll get through this thing. So we're gonna bring this meeting to order. I'd like to call the meeting to order of the Muncie Common Council. Do we do the pledge again?
No.
Okay. Okay, we're gonna move on to Vice President. Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to nominate Brandon Garrett as our vice president.
Seconded. Okay, motion has been made and seconded that Brandon Garrett be nominated as Vice President.
Was that Billy? Did you say that?
Yeah. Are there any other nominations? Roll call.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Mr. Basham?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
You better take your papers with you, Mr. Vice President. Hey, buddy.
Okay,
To the neighborhood.
the floor is now open for nominations for reading secretary.
I'd like to nominate Billy Mack, please.
I'll second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded that Billy McIntosh be nominated for reading secretary. Are there any other nominations? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Basham?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
President Mason?
Yes. Okay. Okay, we'll move into ordinances previously introduced.
1 second.
Approval minutes.
May I?
Appointment to the boards.
And we'll do these boards here.
Okay, okay.
That's okay. We have 10 minutes.
I just gave him a copy of your email, Mr. Gibson. Now I'm gonna need to see.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion for approval of minutes
So moved.
for last month's meeting. Okay, motion's been made by Councilman Green, seconded by Councilman Brandon. All in favor?
Aye.
Or do we do a roll call vote? No. Okay. All in favor? Appointments to boards. Okay, appointments to boards and committees. Public appointments. Did the reading secretary read that?
Oh, my bad.
You can.
What did I do with them? Hold on.
911.
I got 'em. Council officers, the council, yeah, we already did that one, didn't we? Who? Emergency. Council member appoints to the boards and commissions. The appointed person is required to be a member of city council, emergency communications, 911 board. 1 year term. Current appointment is Harold Mason.
Okay, Billy, let me stop you.
Huh?
Then we do the legal counsel first.
You can do that. You already started on boards and commissions, so you can just do that after.
Okay,
Miss,
so where you go?
Go ahead.
Read them all?
No, just start
No,
with the
just-
911,
Yeah.
open nominations.
Nomination for
Okay,
9.
are there any recommendations for the 911 board?
Mr. President, I would like to nominate Harold Mason, please.
I'll second.
Okay. The motion's been made that Harold Mason be nominated, seconded by Councilman Gillian. All in favor? Or do we do roll call?
Let's see if there's other nominations.
Yeah.
Are there any other nominations? Roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Mr. Basham?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
President Mason?
Yes.
Okay. Metropolitan. Metropolitan Plan Commission, 1 year term. Current appointment is Jerry Dishman.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to make a motion to reappoint Mr. Dishman to that position on the Metropolitan Planning Commission.
I'll
I'd like
second.
Second.
Okay, there's been a motion made.
Fight over here.
Motion made, multiple
We all
seconds.
second.
That Jerry Dishman be reappointed.
Any more nominations?
Are there any other nominations? Roll call.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Mr. Basham?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
President Mason?
Yes.
Industrial Revolving Loan Fund, 1 year term. Current appointment is William McIntosh.
Mr. President,
Yes.
I'd like to nominate William McIntosh to continue serving.
Second.
Okay, the motion has been made and seconded that William McIntosh be reappointed to the Industrial Revolving Loan Fund. Are there any other nominations? Question. Roll call, sorry.
Basham?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
President Mason?
Yes.
The Riverfront Project Review Committee, 3 year term. Current appointment is Roselvi.
Okay, I'd entertain a motion for
Riverfront.
Riverfront?
I'd like to-
reappointment?
I'd like to reappoint Rose Selvey.
Okay.
I'd like to appoint.
Okay, we need to get a second.
oh, sorry.
Is there a second?
Second. Okay. Motion's been made by Mr. Green, seconded by Councilman Basham. Any other nominations?
I'd like to nominate Nora Powell for the Riverfront Board.
Second.
Okay. Motion's been made that Nora Powell be nominated to the Riverfront Board, seconded. Motion made by Mr. Garrett, seconded by Mr. McIntosh. Are there any other nominations? Okay, roll call.
Which one first?
Yeah.
You gotta say which one you're voting for.
For, roll call for Ms. Selvey.
Just go through each person and say who's.
Yeah.
We'll just,
Okay.
Yeah, let's tell her.
okay. Mr. Mason,
Who you voting for?
you have to do president last.
Yeah.
I rescind that. Mr. Green,
Selvey.
okay. Mr. Garrett,
Ms. Powell.
Mr. Basham,
Selvey.
Mr. McIntosh,
Ms. Powell.
Ms. Gillian,
Powell.
Ms. Selvey,
Selvey.
Ms. Powell,
Powell.
Mr. Dishman,
Councilwoman Powell.
and President Mason.
Powell.
6 for Powell, 3 for Selvey.
I gotta read all of these?
No, I would just, I don't know, ask the practice.
Mr. Gisper, do I need to finish reading all of these or just
Yeah, just go through each one.
each one? Okay.
Okay, public appointment.
These are the non-council member
Right.
board appointments.
Okay. Public appointments, the appointed person is not required to be a member of city council. Edit Building Corporation Board. Republican appointment for a 2-year term. Current appointment is Troy Ingram.
Mr. President,
Yes.
Mr. Ingram contacted me. He is interested in remaining on that board. He is unfortunately sick with the stomach virus and unable to come tonight to speak. So I would like to make a motion to nominate Troy Ingram to continue on that board.
Okay.
Second that.
Okay, the motion's been made by Councilperson Pyle to retain Mr. Ingram, seconded by Councilperson Gilliam. Are there any other nominations?
Yes, I'd like to nominate Mr. Basham.
Okay, there's
Second.
motion's been made and seconded. Motion made by Councilperson Selvey, seconded by Councilperson Green. Any other nominations? Okay, roll call.
Mr. Basham,
Basham.
Mr. Garrett,
Basham.
Ms. Selvey,
Basham.
Ms. Powell,
Basham.
Good.
Mr. McIntosh,
Basham.
Mr. Green,
Basham.
Ms. Gillian,
Basham.
Mr. Dishman,
Basham.
President Mason.
Basham.
Moving on. Economic Development Commission, 2-year term, that is a recommendation to the mayor for a final appointment. Current appointment is Aaron Clark.
Mr. President,
Okay. Do we have any? Yes, nominations.
I would like to nominate Mr. Jeff Green.
I'll second that.
What was that name, Jeff Greer?
Yep, Green.
Green? Oh,
All right. Safe.
Who seconded? Okay, motion's been made and seconded that Mr. Jeff Green be nominated. Are there any other nominations?
Real quick, before you vote, I did just want to remind you, this is just simply a recommendation to the mayor.
Right.
Yes.
But ultimate authority lies with them.
Yep.
So do we need a vote?
You still need to vote, yes.
Still
on
need
your
to vote,
formal
yeah.
recommendation. But
Okay. Okay, motion's been made and seconded that Councilman Green be recommended as a appointee to this board. Roll call or voice vote? Roll call.
Mr. Dishman?
Jeff Green.
Mr. Basham?
Green.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
President Mason?
Yes.
Ethics Commission, 2 appointments. 1 appointment for an initial 1-year term and 1 appointment for an initial 2-year term. Must have different political affiliations, must be city residents, may not be an elected official, appointed official, or employee of the city of Muncie, may not be a member of any other city board, commission, or committee, may not be an officer or employee of any political party, and may be a state delegate. May not be an owner, officer, director, or partner of a business that has been paid more than $300,000 by the city in the previous calendar year. If y'all can retain all of that.
Okay, I'll open the floor for nominations. I would like to nominate the Reverend W.C. Edwards
Second.
What term?
As
For which term?
for the 1-year term.
For the 1-year term. Got it.
Yes.
and for the Republican nominee, I would like to nominate.
I think
he did, yes. And for the Republican nominee, I would like to nominate Dr. Sandra Whitaker.
Mr. President, is this just for the 1-year term
Yes.
at the moment?
The first.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Any other nominations?
Could you help me understand, do we need to know what political affiliations are at this point or not?
Yes, I mean, I guess not at this point, but whoever wins, you would need to know theirs, so that when you're nominating for the second, they're not of the same.
Yes,
affiliation.
okay, I'm with you.
So really, it only
But-
matters who is selected with this one.
Yes, okay.
Okay, Mr. Edwards
Okay.
is here.
I'm sorry. May I rescind the nomination for the 1-year term, please? I would like to renominate her for another.
Okay.
I would like to rescind that nomination. I apologize to you, Dr. Whitaker.
Can I bring him up to the podium?
Yeah, if they'd like to say something.
Mr. Edwards, you have anything you'd like to say? In regards to this appointment?
Well, I've been around the city for quite a few years.
Come up to the podium.
You come to the podium.
A little history of yourself.
Yeah.
To this council, I've been around the city for 78 years. I was a police officer for 25 and a half years in the city of Muncie, deputy chief for 8 of those years. I worked at Southside High School, which I had many of you and many of your kids for over 40 years. I was a pastor before I retired for 33 and a half years. And you're probably saying, how did he have so much on his plate? Well, God gave me a big plate.
Amen.
So I had what I had. So I'm curious to see what this is all about, and I want to work with whoever I'll be working with, and hope that we'll let God guide me in the way that He had me go.
Okay.
Thank you for the nomination.
Mr. Edwards, I got a hall pass, so I'm good to go. Okay.
got a hall
All right,
All right.
yeah, yeah.
That was authorized by me.
Yeah, it was signed by Mr. Bass.
Right here, yeah.
I know, right? You got secrets, brother.
Okay, so we have no other nominations? Ms. Selvey rescinded her
Yes, I did.
nomination?
Yes, I did.
Okay, roll call?
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Mr. Bass?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Ms. Selvey?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes,
President Mason?
Yes.
Now, this is the two-year term.
Yeah, so now you have a 2-year appointment, initial 2-year term, and it just simply, they cannot be the same affiliation as Mr. Edwards. So it could be a different party or independent, just as long as it's not the same affiliation.
Right, affiliation.
What are you, WC?
Well, I've been a Democrat since I was 21 years old.
Okay.
So a Republican or an independent for this 2-year term.
Okay. Yeah, I'd entertain a motion.
Mr. President, I would like to nominate Dr. Sandra Whitaker for the 2-year term.
Dr. Sandra Whitaker,
Yes.
okay. Is there a second?
Yes, I second that.
Okay, motion has been made by Councilperson Selvey, seconded by Councilperson Basham. Any other nominations?
Mr. President, I'd like to nominate Dr. Chip Taylor.
I will second that.
Okay, nomination's been made by Mr. Green for Chip Taylor, seconded by Ms. Gilliam. Any other nominations? Okay, we have Whitaker, Sandra Whitaker, and Chip Taylor.
Roll call. Wait a minute.
Hey,
Hello, Sandra Whitaker. My experience is primarily in education and administration, more recently until retirement with Muncie Community Schools. Prior to that, Chicago area, Joliet, Illinois. Pardon me, Joliet, if you don't feel like you're part of Chicago. Most recently, I did serve on the Ethics Advisory Committee, and I found it rewarding, positive, and productive. In great part to the gentleman that's going to speak after me, and this gentleman here. Thank you. And everybody that was on the committee, I think, needs to be commended, as well as those who gave community input, because that was helpful. And the tenor and tone of the meetings were professional and positive, so I appreciated that. So what do I bring to the table? A history of shared community values and the desire to invite dialogue from all parties. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
any questions from anybody on the board?
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
I'm Charles Chip Taylor. Appreciate the nomination. Most recently, I was the chair of the Ethics Advisory Committee. I've also recently retired from Ball State University, where I teach, where I taught public administration, public policy. When I was in grad school, I had training in teaching ethics across the curriculum. I incorporated that into all the public management courses that I taught. I've collaborated with my colleague Dave Concepcion in the philosophy department. We've done ethics training, working with Schaefer Leadership Academy. We've done ethics training for the city of Muncie and for Muncie Sanitary District. I've participated in a number of ethics training panels for AIM, the Municipal Association, clerk treasurers, county assessors or county recorders or somebody, I forget which one, their annual meeting. And, before my academic career, I worked in local government in Missouri for 15 years, so I've got some knowledge of, what it's like trying to do the day-to-day work. As Sandra said, the committee work was very, very collaborative. We had a lot of good public input. She's really good, too, I can tell you that, from firsthand knowledge. So anyway, that's enough. I'd be glad to answer any questions.
Okay. Any
Right.
questions of Mr. Taylor?
Hey, thank you.
Thank you.
I do have a comment. May I make a comment? This is going to be a really, really tough one. These two wonderful individuals have really been the foundation, along with our council, and he will agree. It's a tough call. And like Sarah just whispered to me, either one is going to be a great fit for the Ethics Committee, and I totally agree with that. So I just wanted to say thank you. And it's hard.
Okay. Roll call.
Mr. Basham?
Whitaker.
Mr. Garrett?
Whitaker.
Ms. Selby?
Whitaker.
Ms. Powell?
Dr. Taylor.
Mr. McIntosh?
Dr. Taylor.
Mr. Green?
Dr. Taylor.
Ms. Gullion?
Taylor.
Mr. Dishman?
It's a hard one to make, but Mr. Taylor.
And then President Mason?
Whitaker.
It's 4 for Whitaker, 5 for Taylor.
And again, thank you both for the time you put in for this. It's gonna go, it doesn't go unnoted at all, the time you put into the Ethics Committee, getting it together and bringing it to where it's at now. So thank you both. You both deserve a round of applause.
Muncie Redevelopment Commission, 2 appointments. Must be a city resident. Political balance not required.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
I would like to nominate Andrew Dale to return to the MRC.
I would second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded that Mr. Andrew Dale be retained as the representative of the Muncie Redevelopment Commission, I'm sorry. Motion made by Ms. Powell, seconded by Ms. Gilliam. Any other nominations?
You gotta have 2.
Yeah, then I would make the motion that we renominate Zane Bishop for that.
I'll second that.
I'll second that.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
motion has been made and seconded that Zane Bishop also be retained on the Muncie Redevelopment Commission. Motion made by Ms. Gilliam, seconded by Ms. Powell. Any other nominations? Okay, with that being said, roll call.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Mr. Basham?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
President Mason?
Yes.
Voting for both.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. You're going, yes.
Okay, you ready?
Lead on.
Who, me? Dan?
Yeah.
That was it.
Mr. President,
Yes, ma'am.
I make a motion that we reappoint
Oh.
Dan Gibson as our legal counsel for,
I'll second that.
I wasn't on here.
Motion was made by Councilperson Powell, seconded by President Mason.
Mr. May I make
Yes,
a
Ms.
comment?
Selby.
May I make a comment?
Yes.
I just want to say on behalf of the whole council, thank you for all your hard work. And I know we call you all the time, and we ask you these tough questions, and and you are right there answering our questions, our emails. I appreciate you, and I can speak from the whole council.
Yes.
You're a true professional, so thank you.
Yeah, it's been, it was a rough go, like I said, with the new council. You walked us through and made sure that we were staying where we needed to be within our legal lines every step of the way. You do it very politely. Sometimes when when we've done it a couple times, you do it very politely and very professional. So, I appreciate you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Is that?
We haven't voted yet.
We need to,
Yes,
we need to roll
take
call, I
the vote.
believe, because we'll have an abstention.
Any other nominations? Roll call?
Mr. Basham?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Abstain.
I'm sorry, I didn't see.
Yes.
And President Mason?
Yes. Okay, moving on.
Mr., I'm sorry, I just want to.
Yes.
Just want to say that I abstained because of I had passed out the conflict of interest, so you have that too, right? Okay.
I have that.
Okay.
I have a comment for all the people, anyone that has been appointed to a board or commission tonight. I have to swear you in, so if you want to do that after the meeting, I'll say and do that. And actually, I need your signature on a certificate. And if you don't want to do it tonight, then contact my office and get it done. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, moving on to ordinances previously introduced.
Go ahead.
Committee reports?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Done? Okay. We're gonna move on to committee reports.
Mr. President,
Yes.
the Tax Abatement Committee met prior to our numerous public hearings to discuss ordinance, I think it's 2-25. We heard copious information and want to give a favorable recommendation to the council in regards to that decision.
Okay.
Mr. President, I'd like to report too that we're waiting on signatures, but the firefighters and the Fraternal Order of Police have come to an agreement.
Good.
They have voted in the affirmative, and we will have details very shortly.
Okay, good deal.
That's huge.
Okay, thank you.
That's a happy new year, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mr. President, it's not normally, it's not actually a committee, but in the past, over the past year, we invited Mr. Rob Kiesling up during the committee reports to give an update on the Tillotson situation. If you are open to that.
I am open to that.
Good evening, Rob
Good evening.
Kiesling, External Affairs Manager with Indiana Michigan Power. Thank you, Councilwoman Powell, for your invitation, and Happy New Year to all of you. Update on our transmission project that's been going on for the past year in Northwest Muncie. For the start of the year, because we've had a lot of releases, I'm just going to start high level where we are on the overall project and the current phases. So the total project replaces our existing transmission line, which is the high voltage from generation facility to substation at the Kenmore station off of Tillotson near the hospital, and then ultimately ends at the substation near the airport. We refer to that as Delaware. There's a substation in the middle, just north of Bethel near Ball State, or south of Bethel near Ball State's campus. The phase we're most familiar with is the current phase, which Councilwoman Powell and I have had many conversations about, and I appreciate her patience and her advocacy for her district. That is all underground, and the lines are in what we call duct bank. It's a concrete encasement that keeps those lines protected. And so it went under Tillotson, and then at York Prairie Creek, it continues underground near Ball State's campus. When we planned for this project and when we assessed, budgeted, scheduled, everything, our assessment indicated the duct bank along York Perry Creek would be reusable. With this late last year, when we started replacing wire along Tillotson, and we were able to do a comprehensive, really dig in assessment, we found that that was not suitable for reuse and requires replacement. What we did with our traffic control vendor, along with the city engineer and our project team, was develop a path to reconstruct along York Prairie Creek north of Petty Road that would keep us out of the residential area as much as possible. There's 3 or 4 streets north of Petty. We really do not want to have construction traffic through that neighborhood as much as possible. We also have to keep our workers safe, which has resulted in what we thought we would be off of Tillotson last year, the current traffic control plan, which has a double lane closure starting just south of Petty, which I've gotten feedback. Some people love it. Some people absolutely can't stand it. I've gotten both, and I understand. And that ends just south of Euclid to the north of York Prairie Creek. We expect that phase to go through this summer. There are some unknowns with it's the nature of the underground work. At the completion of that wire being energized, we start the road restoration. Adam Leach with the city engineer's office and Donnie Wright have been very diligent in laying the expectations of us for repaving in terms of mill depth, underlayment preparation, and repaving so that the road matches and still stays on schedule with the city's larger Tillotson project. And we're responsible for the areas we excavated. We have the whole picture. So that's current phase. Before I go to the next phase of the project, I'm going to pause for questions on that part.
Mr. President.
Okay, are there any questions? Yes.
Mr. Kiesling, is there any way possible to open up the intersection of Tillotson and Petty, even if it's just for a right turn onto Petty from Tillotson and a right turn onto Tillotson from Petty?
I have asked our traffic control vendor to look at that. The current answer is no, but I can ask for that to be revisited.
Thank you. And any residents along Tillotson that suspect that they're having foundation issues should contact who?
If start with me, I will refer that to our right-of-way
Okay.
department.
And lastly, Mr. President, the sign at Riverside and Briar, is that yours or is that the city's?
I would have to look.
It's a no, I think it's a road closed right there, and it's really ineffective. I mean, it's not needed, and it unfortunately just causes a bottleneck of traffic for people, for residents pulling into that neighborhood. And I would like to respectfully request that if it is yours,
If it's
that
ours,
it be
we will
removed.
remove it.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much. That's
Any
all I
other
have.
questions?
I think you always are very, Rob, very upfront with us. You're always step by step. Anybody that's done a big project knows you're going to run into unknowns. I really commend you guys for measuring twice, cutting once, so we're not back there, a year from now. So I just commend you for coming up, always being upfront, always giving us the step-by-step every time there's a project. So I do appreciate that, and letting the public know what's going on. So thank you.
You're quite welcome, and appreciate the words. I understand the project has frustration for residents and for motorists and
Thank you.
people who use the road routinely and live there. It impacts them more directly, and we understand that. We do. The next phase I just want to touch on, because I'll end up coming back, and we know that, and I'm happy to be here every month as requested, is currently these facilities are all overhead, and they go along Bethel, north of Tillotson, and ultimately they leave the city and are north of Reagan. Most of up until that Tillotson and Heathfield near Ball State portion can be replaced largely what we call on center where it is. When we get into Haltman Village in Councilwoman Gillian's district, it gets very interesting. And the issue we have there, that's currently outside of the city, but it impacts the city, and I'll explain it as we get there. Those lines were built before the houses. And we're not talking about the distribution that provides service, we're talking about the higher lines, the higher voltage. We cannot rebuild those where they are and meet our clearance needs. And to meet our clearance needs, we need to go in the roadway. And so after this current phase is done this summer, we start the next phase, likely to start late summer early fall into next summer, where we'll be going along Riggin, which is split between city and county, I believe, to the, I'm going to call it Twickenham and Real Tillotson. There's like the two Tillotsons we all get confused by block, for that to be put underground. That will require lane closures and restrictions. Those will come out later. No reason to go 6 months early, but those individual landowners are receiving communication about the project delay, as well as the forestry activities that do start in this quarter. But just wanted to get that out there. The city engineer is well aware. I know they're adding that to their paving list because the road will be repaved to their specifications when we're done. So questions on that phase? I know I'll come back, but I also just said, hey, just reminding you all, it's a big project. It goes in the middle of next year, but would rather keep the communication going.
Thank you.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Keeling.
Taking a comment from motorists and others.
No.
This is,
Public discussion.
Public session.
Oh,
this is not.
well, Rick Yenser, I know a lot of people on the west side want to know why traffic is still restricted when there's no work being done. Those traffic restrictions should be lifted when they resume work in the spring.
Okay. Hey. Ordinance 3824.
No, regular ordinance.
Okay, moving on, we're gonna do ordinances previously introduced.
Ordinance 38-24, an ordinance amending Chapter 77, parking regulations of the Muncie Code of Ordinance.
Is there a motion for approval of ordinance
I so-
3824?
I so move.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded for approval. Roll call. Oh, public comments.
Just Chief Sloan with Muncie Police. Just wanted to stand for any questions that you folks might have had about what we sent you. I know legal, both sides of legal have talked about it. It seems to be pretty cut and dry, but
Mr. President,
Go ahead.
on the fines you're going to be doing,
on the what?
your fines that you guys are going to, you know, for parking, where's that money going to go to?
That's already been laid out in 2321 and 2221, previous ordinances. So it all goes into.
Where does it go to?
It goes into account 541 for the city, which is used for different things, but also to maintain a city police vehicle fund.
You don't go through the clerk's office?
Sure.
Okay. That's where I want it to go, through the clerk's office, if you can get that done.
Yeah, you want to speak to how it's paid online?
You can either pay it through muncie.rmcpay.com, or you can make a payment in the clerk's office. Those are the two ways to pay. My name is Darren Clark. I work parking enforcement.
Mr. President?
Okay.
Chief Sloan, how much revenue do you suspect this will generate?
I don't think there's any way to tell that. That's going to be based on how many tickets get written.
Last year, how many tickets did you write?
Don't have that number in front of me. Wasn't prepared to talk about finances tonight.
Okay.
So Chief, does that mean that some of these abandoned vehicles will now be expedited?
Well, that's a whole different issue. We're going to handle that through the state with the abandoned vehicle code with the state.
Okay.
But these deal with such things, parking too close to a fire hydrant, parking too far out from the curb, parking too close to a private drive, parking against the flow of traffic, parking too close to a crosswalk, parking too close to an intersection, things like that.
Okay.
Mr. President? Mr. President? Okay.
Yes.
Okay. I don't know if this is is for you or a city thing, but the residential neighborhood permit parking, is that something that we already do? Is this new?
No, that's something that we do now.
We do it, okay, so it's just kind of keep bringing it up to what the state has, or?
Basically updating the streets and the permits, and take Neely, for example, when they redid Neely Avenue from McKinley to Wheeling. That used to be 2-hour permit parking along Neely, but now it has an island in the middle, so they should have came back and made it no parking on either side.
Yeah, there is no parking on Neely at this point. Yeah.
Okay.
I'm glad that you brought up parking on sidewalks. We have a hard time saving the sidewalks we do have. When we have cars parked in there for long periods of time, it cracks up and makes a mess from a sidewalk that was normally great. So I really like the parking on sidewalks.
Yeah, it's like parking too close to private drives or even public drives.
Yeah.
We get complaints over at Westview School about it. People line up to pick up their kids, which everybody wants to do, right? But then you've got residents there that get their driveways blocked, and they get upset about it.
Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Mack.
I could barely hear Jerry down there, so I'm gonna ask this question again. When you get the tickets or give out tickets, you said they do go to the clerk's office?
You can pay them online, or you can go into the clerk's office and pay them there.
Those fees go into the clerk's office. Is that what you were saying?
Those fees, she could speak to that, I guess, but those fees are deposited, whether it's a parking ticket or some kind of parking infraction, those are deposited in account 541, yeah.
Mr. President, if I may.
Yes.
As Chief Sloan mentioned, I spoke last week with Alan Wisely, who is one of the assistant city attorneys, and we worked through just a couple questions and issues that I had noticed, and some of them he had also flagged before, and I believe Chief Sloan mentioned one of them last month. And so I sent out a redlined version of this to you.
Thank you for that.
And I would recommend, there's just a few slight revisions, as you see in that this ordinance be amended in accordance with that redlined version before you take a vote on adoption.
Okay, so do I need to amend my motion?
You can just you already have the main motion on the floor. You can make a motion to amend in accordance with the redlined version that I sent last week.
Yes. Would that be my call, or should someone else?
It can be anybody's.
I so move.
Second.
In accordance.
Okay.
And then take a vote on that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded to adopt the red line.
And Mr. President, you can do that by voice vote.
Okay.
And then final adoption would be roll call.
Ordinance 38-24. On the red line. Adoption. On the red
First
line.
vote on the, voice vote on the motion to amend.
Okay, vote on the motion to amend. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Okay, motion carries.
Now, unless
let's,
there's further public comment, you'd
Okay.
move to adopt as amended.
okay, on the public comment, we'll move to adopt as amended 38-24.
It's so moved.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded.
By Ms.
All in favor?
Brendan Garrett.
That's a voice vote.
Roll call.
Roll call.
Mr. Basham?
Yes, I think. Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Mr. David?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Nolan?
Yes.
Mr. Michigan?
Yes.
President Mason?
Yes.
Me.
Garrett. Oh, you?
It's me.
No.
Oh, I motioned, didn't I?
And
Sorry.
Garrett second.
Yeah, sorry.
Sarah motion and Brandon second.
Yep.
Dale on the amendment, and I second it on that.
Right.
I'm sorry, Councilperson Basham.
I'm good. Okay, ordinance 39-24. Ordinance 39-24, an ordinance repealing chapter 55 of the Muncie City Ordinance entitled Cable Television. Is anyone here to speak on ordinance 39-24?
I make a motion, we adopt 3924.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded that 3924 be adopted. Is there anyone else wishing to speak?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Just briefly, as I mentioned last month, this ordinance as well as 40-24, which will be coming next, are both ordinances that are repealing regulations relating to cable television franchises and the Cable Television Commission to essentially obsolete. That authority now rests with the state, has for quite some time. The Cable Television Commission hasn't met in over a decade, I believe, and so we just need to clean up the books and get both of these repealed.
So can we just do them both at the same time?
No, do them one at a time, but I'm only going to speak on one of them.
All right, thank you. Okay. Thank you. 39-24. Roll call.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes?
Mr. Bachelor?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Sully?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
President Mason?
Yes.
9 yes.
Okay, ordinance 40-24. Ordinance 40-24, an ordinance repealing chapter 34, section 8 of the Muncie City Ordinances entitled Muncie Cable Television Commission.
Mr. President, I make a motion that we adopt ordinance 40-24.
I second.
Second.
Motion was made by Councilperson Powell, seconded by Councilman Garrett. Any other? Roll call.
Mr. Mashing?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes?
Ms. Sully?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Mason?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
9 yes.
Ordinance 41-24. Ordinance 41-24, an ordinance amending Chapter 52 of the Muncie City Ordinances entitled Waste and Litter, Care of Premises. Is there a motion for approval of this ordinance?
So moved.
Whatever it is, yeah.
I'll second.
Ms. Sylvia, Ms. Councilman Sylvia got me.
Okay, motion made to approve by Mr. Green, seconded
By
by
Mr. Garrett.
Ms. Selby.
You won.
Anyone here to speak on that?
Mr. President?
Yes.
Just real quick, as I mentioned last month, this, like the prior two, was prepared by the city attorney's office. And this one is also cleaning up the code of ordinances. The sections that you are repealing are regulations and conduct that is covered by other sections of the code, particularly section 98 and section 152. So it's just redundant to have them both in there. And this is just a housekeeping item.
Okay. So we made the motion and seconded. Roll call?
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes?
Mr. Bachelor?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
And President Mason?
Yes. 42-24. Okay, ordinance 42-24. Ordinance 42-24, an ordinance to amend the City of Muncie Comprehensive Zoning Ordinance from the R-5 Resident Zone to the BB Variety Business Zone for 4,000 block North Morrison Road, Muncie, Indiana. Anyone here to speak on that?
I move
Make a motion
that
to
we,
accept.
yeah, I move for a motion, yeah.
Okay.
Second.
Okay, motion's been made and seconded.
Yep.
She is right
I don't
there.
have anything really.
No, sit.
Oh, you're good.
She can come up and speak. She was up there.
I thought you guys were already getting ready to vote. I didn't want to
No,
step
no,
in your
no.
way.
No.
I apologize. I'm from Ashton Land Surveyor, and this is the same parcel of land that we voluntarily annexed a month ago. What we're doing this time is we're combining the parcel, or we're rezoning the parcels so that they can develop it. So this is just one more step. So I appreciate you taking this into consideration.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this ordinance? Does the council have any questions or comments? No further discussion. Roll call, please.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Mr. Dixon?
Yes.
President Mason?
Yes. Okay, moving on to new ordinances. Ordinance 1-25.
Ordinance 1-25, an ordinance amending Chapter 159 floodplain management of the Muncie Code of Ordinances.
Okay,
I'd like to motion to introduce.
okay. Is there a motion for introduction of this ordinance?
Second.
Second.
Ms. Selvey? Seconded by Ms.
Will Councilperson Green have that one?
I'm Richard Rawlings, the building commissioner. If you have any questions about this,
Okay, I do. Mr. Rawlings, congratulations
Well,
and
thank you.
welcome to city government. And I do have a couple questions. Would you explain to me if this is a state mandated thing?
yes.
Could you describe, I'm going to ask you like multiple questions and then you can. And is the county also doing this, and how is it going to affect the 40 or 50 households that's going to affect?
It does, well, yeah, it's statewide. The DNR
Yes,
runs it, and the county's already approved it.
okay,
And there's really no exceptions. We have about 400 structures mostly covered by the, but, well, it's mandatory requirement to be the FEMA flood insurance.
okay.
And we have almost $100,000, or actually $100 million insured in the city. And there's about 400 structures, mostly homes. But other than that, I mean, it's really just a little bit more structured than it was before.
Thank you.
So this is just kind of getting on board with the state?
Yes.
Okay, that's what.
Yeah, if we don't pass it, then everything.
Right.
What they're doing is a little bit more increased accountability from the city. And so basically, if somebody wants to develop, we don't really do building permits, but if somebody wants to improve something in a floodplain, instead of going through us, then they'll have to go through DNR, which is just a totally,
Yeah.
you know,
the Army Corps
take an extra
years
6
and all.
months.
Yeah, yeah. So, yeah, I read through that, and that's what I got, was us just kind of getting on board with them. And I didn't see, I have quite a bit of residents in the floodplain in my district, especially Brookville Terrace and all that.
Yeah.
And I read through, and what I liked, I didn't see any increase in their floodplain insurance or anything from passing this, so.
No, there shouldn't be any.
Yeah, that helps out with them a lot, so I just wanted to say that.
And Mr. President,
Yes.
it's noteworthy that this has been approved by FEMA
Oh, yeah, yeah,
as well.
yeah. I mean, FEMA basically does it through DNR. But yeah, it's basically just a little side note right now. Just a little more accountability from us.
Mr. President,
Yes, Mr. Dishman.
how long are you hanging around tonight?
I can hang around if you need me to.
Well, I'd like to talk to you if you don't mind.
Okay, yeah, sure.
Okay, thank you.
Anybody else? Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And welcome.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this ordinance? Does the council have any questions or comments? Okay, the motion has been made and seconded. Roll call.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Ms. Powell?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Mr. Matheson?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
President Mason?
Yes. Did we?
And just to be clear, that was just
We
for
did.
introduction, correct?
Yes, just for introduction.
Ordinance 2-25.
Ordinance 2-25, an ordinance to vacate a certain public alley in the John J. Perkins addition to the city of Muncie, Delaware County, Indiana.
I move to
Is there a
introduce.
motion?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion's been made by Councilperson Gilliam, seconded by Councilman Garrett. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on this ordinance?
Good evening, council. My name is Alan Wisely, and I'm with the law firm of Beasley Gilkison. I am representing Avondale United Methodist Church and asking for this alley to be vacated. I am also a member of Avondale Church. I have Pastor Ed Armentrout here with me as well. So this alley cuts across, it's 8 platted lots. The church owns 5.5 of them. And that is the area that makes up the parking lot of the church. And so what is platted in the addition as a public alley is part of the church's parking lot, and it's where our handicap parking spots are located, and it's where the wheelchair ramp into the church is located. And then the very end of the alley where there are the 2 houses that the church does not own, they will retain that section of the alley in order to be able to get into the larger alley. Because this is just a 10-foot alley and the other alley is a 15-foot alley. It's kind of a weird spot where 2 plats meet up to each other, so where the alley tees into it. There are 4 blocks in that addition that have this, and this is the last one that hasn't been vacated by the city council. And so this is just a block south of the Ross Center, well, where the Ross Center has just put in their new soccer fields, on the old GM parking lot. So the church is just asking for this to be vacated because the church does have it paved over. It does have church assets in it. All of the utilities were contacted. None of them had any objections. The only one that has facilities in the alley is AEP, and the church is reserving an easement for AEP.
I'd like to make a comment that through all of our neighborhood associations in Avondale, this is this has never been a problem or been brought up. So I just want to let you know that. We haven't had anybody speak ill of the way it is or coming through or anything like that. So,
Mr. President,
Yes. Councilman Dishman.
is that right behind the church?
Yeah, so it's between the church and the parking lot.
Okay. I was out there Saturday looking at it, and I noticed you got an alley across Simpson there.
Yep.
And the one you're talking about is on the side of the church, right?
Yep. So it is paved over blacktop as part of the church's parking lot.
Now, how far does it go down?
So the alley goes down until it tees into the other alley that runs between 9th and 10th, it's parallel to Sampson. So the section that adjoins the church's property on the north and south will go with the church, and then there are 2 homes there, which one is owned by Neil and Kelly Kring, the other one is owned by Shannon McCormick. The way those 2 have access, Shannon McCormick's house has direct access onto the alley that goes north and south. Kring residence does not, because that's the former church parsonage, so it doesn't have a designated driveway. So that is the part of the alley that's marked as B and C to make sure that that house still has access to the north-south alley.
Yep.
So it goes all the way down to the T?
Yep.
Okay.
Will be vacated.
And then I'm sorry, Mr. President, may I? So parcel B and C will be owned by Neil and his wife Kelly?
Yeah, yep, by
Okay.
Neil and Kelly, so that they have access out to that alley.
Okay.
And then the church is also then working on a separate easement agreement with them.
Okay.
Because their garage immediately abuts to the church's parking lot because it is the former parsonage.
yep. I got another one.
Yes.
The way, it's been paved over for a while.
Yep.
We've had the handicap parking in there for a while. And the way that they work this out, where everybody involved has the exit out of the alley and all that is still, so no one is going to be denied access to the alley or the back of their driveways or garages. So I thank you for that too, the way you laid it out and the way you went about it.
Is there anyone else wishing to speak on this?
Or if you have any
Is the
questions-
minister
Yeah,
here?
if you have any questions, Mr. Armister? how about you?
Yeah, right, thanks.
Any members of the public, anybody from council?
Nope.
Okay, this takes a roll call vote.
For introduction, you can just do a
Hey,
voice vote.
introduction. So have we done the motion?
Yep.
Seconded? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Resolutions. Resolution 1-25.
Resolution 1-25, a resolution of the Common Council of the City of Muncie approving deduction from assessed value of new manufacturing equipment in an already declared economic that's a good one. Revitalization area. Philip Pattern and Casting Incorporated. Let me get that out. Huh? Make a motion.
Mr. Motion.
Okay, is there a motion?
Mr. President, I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 1-25.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Okay,
Thank
motion's been made by Councilperson Powell, seconded by Councilperson Selby. Is there anyone here wishing to speak on this resolution?
Good evening, Council. I'm Tracy Lutton with the Muncie Delaware County Economic Development Alliance. I've been working with Muncie-based Phillips Patterns and Castings to assist them with this tax abatement application. They intend to replace some obsolete equipment that's going to allow them to compete for new business, better care of existing customers, and this will also provide some opportunities for current employees to gain some new skills. So the investment total is about $370,000. This will allow them to retain their existing 34 employees. I know that the council likes to see job increases, but I will say the trends that I am seeing are projects are heavier on capital investment and fewer jobs associated. I'm going to have you listen to Jason Paul here momentarily, and he'll tell you a little bit more about the workforce, the lack of turnover that they have, and the quality of employment opportunities that they offer. I'll mention the last abatement they had was in 2021. At that time, their goal was to retain 31 and add 1. They have exceeded that, so they're at 34 today. They're being conservative in their job projections to make sure that they can meet their obligations to the council. They're seeking a 3-year abatement, and I'd like to just close by saying this company was founded in Muncie in 1947, and they have continued to evolve, invest in themselves, in their workforce, and I know we work really hard to bring new businesses to Muncie and Delaware County, and I think it's really important to acknowledge and help to incentivize the growth of the companies that we already have here. So with that, I'll bring up Jason Paul with the company.
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess I would just open it up if anybody has any questions for me. We've been around since 1947. It's family owned. We try to invest in equipment to keep our employees. Currently at 34 employees. We don't have a lot of turnover, typically less than 10%. So most of our employees have been with us for 10 plus years. So.
That says a lot about you and your company, with the turnover rate being that low. But I was at the tax abatement meeting, and then it's nice 1947. Can't say that a whole lot anymore. You took a hard hit. It's nice to have the factories here that stay here. You give great wages. You're a second chance employer, which is very hard to find anymore. So I just appreciate your work and what Philip Pattern's still being here and still hiring at, the wages that they are since 1947. That's awesome.
Thank you.
Good deal.
Mr. President,
Yes.
how do you go about hiring your people?
Typically, we hire by word of mouth or referral. In the last couple years, we've tried a temp agency. We've hired out one person from that. Typically, when they get through their 90 days or something, they kind of move on somewhere else. But probably 95% of the employees we have are either referrals or walk-ins.
I've been on the tax abatement when they first started it, and this company has kept their word on the employment that they promised. And they're a well-known business out there on Riggin Road. They're in my area. I'll go to bat for this company anytime, and I appreciate you giving them, I mean, they got a favorable recommendation already, but I wish you guys would approve this tonight.
Anybody else?
Mr.
Now, oh, go ahead. I'm sorry.
I have a statement I'd like to make.
Okay.
I've known the company for a long time. I worked as a subcontractor for a lot of the owners over the last, it's been at least 10 years or before I've worked for them. Since I've been on city council, I have not worked for the family in any of the residents, but I wanted to disclose that. I do know some of the family. I knew some of them that had passed. Very good family. Fantastic business that they have out there. I think we should support it. That's my statement. But I wanted you to know that I'd worked for some of the family members in the past.
Mr. President?
Yes.
I'm just going to state that I'm not a big fan of tax abatements. I like to, for certain things, and in general, wouldn't be a fan. But I was also at that tax abatement meeting. I heard that you give insurance to your employees, that you're a second chance employer, and that you've been here for that long, and that you also, were on time and, maintained your commitment on your last tax abatement. So it's opened my mind to this.
Well, thank you.
Yes.
Okay. Mr. McIntosh. I would just like to say that I didn't want you to get the wrong impression that we want to make sure we have jobs. My concern was once you needed to get the extra money or to spend money, and then if you didn't get the abatement, that you would have to buy the equipment yourselves. My concern has always been that, I guess because I've been on the other end of it, where families have to be let go of, you know what I'm saying? And that's the only concern I had, but I support you 100%.
Okay, any other members
Thank you.
from the public have any comments? Council? Okay. Voice
This
vote.
is-
Roll call these.
This is for adoption.
Yes.
The resolution, so it'd be a roll call vote.
Okay, roll call.
Ms. Carroll?
Yes.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Mr. Basham?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
Yes.
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
Yes.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
President Mason?
Yes. Okay, moving on, resolution 2-25.
Resolution 2-25, resolution of the Common Council of the City of Muncie, Indiana, approving a fiscal plan and definitive policy for the annexation of property contiguous to the City of Muncie, Indiana, pursuant to ordinance number 31-24 and 32-24. Just that annexation where,
Okay,
I'll make a motion.
I'll second that.
okay, motion's been made by Councilman McIntosh, seconded by Councilperson Selby.
Can we talk on that, yeah?
Anyone here to speak on that?
The association has already left, but you heard their comments earlier. They reiterate the same comments that they spoke on earlier.
Okay. Any council members? Roll call?
Real
Wait,
quick,
wait,
Mr. President, I do have, as I mentioned in an email earlier, the attorneys representing the city on this matter are from Indianapolis, and given their road conditions, I have him on the phone right now, so he can hear you if you have any questions for him. He's more than happy to answer them.
Okay.
As I mentioned to you all in my legal summary, this is the fiscal plan, I believe just for the single city-owned parcel and the Westminster annexation. It doesn't have to do with the Farmington or Heron Point. And this isn't approving the annexation, this is simply the fiscal plan.
Yep.
You would still need to move forward with the ordinance, which I think is in a couple months, but Maxwell could correct me if I'm wrong.
This is Farmington, right?
I thought it was Farmington.
City-owned parcel in Farmington neighborhood.
It's the.
Fiscal
it's-
plan.
City-owned
it's-
property
yeah.
in Farmington?
Oh, okay,
Right.
okay.
Okay. Any members from the council have any questions?
Question I would have is, they were stating earlier that they weren't notified about the meetings or anything like that. Can he speak on that?
Max, did you hear that?
I did. Can you hear me all right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Max Adams. I'm an attorney with the law firm of Barnes and Thornburg, representing the city on these annexations. Apologies, I can't be there in person, but Indianapolis is still working on its road, so I hope to be there in February and March. Regarding the notice provisions, state law requires us to provide notice of, at this point, two things. One, the public outreach meetings, which the mayor and his team conducted 6 of those pursuant to state law. And we also have to provide notice to the property owners in advance of the public hearings that took place earlier tonight. Under state law, the city is required to provide notice to the addresses listed on the tax duplicate. As you can imagine, some people may not live in the residences, some may have multiple addresses, so state law just says as long as we provide notice to the addresses listed on the tax duplicate, then the city has meted its duties for the notice requirements.
Thank you.
Mr. President?
Thank you.
Point of clarification. What we are looking at is the city-owned parcel of Farmington. This is not the residential where the people live now. This is separate. This is the city-owned portion of Farmington neighborhood and the Westminster Village.
Thank you.
Okay. You're welcome.
And again, it's just the fiscal plan. The
Yes.
ordinance is still up for adoption at a later time. Correct, Max?
Yes, that's correct. If I could, I think it kind of helped to take a step back. Yes, this is just the single parcel in the Farmington neighborhood, the fiscal plan resolution for that single parcel from Ball State, I believe, and then the Westminster Village as well. We will be doing the 2 super voluntary annexations, the city-owned parcel in Westminster Village. Those ordinances will be eligible for adoption at the February council meeting, and then the other 2 more contentious annexations will be eligible for adoption in March. The reason why we're doing this fiscal plan resolution, I'm sure has been conveyed to you. There is state law for some reason says that for your quote-unquote regular annexations, in this case the Farmington and the Heron Point annexations, state law requires that you hold the public hearings which took place earlier tonight after you adopt the fiscal plan for those. For some reason, in state law for super voluntary annexations, you can't adopt the fiscal plan resolution until after the public hearing. So this is resolution before you is nearly identical to the one I believe you saw in November and adopted. The only exception is we just tailored it towards these 2 annexations, the city-owned parcel in Westminster Village.
All righty then. Any questions? Roll call.
Ms. Powell?
No.
Mr. Garrett?
Yes.
Ms. Selby?
Yes.
Mr. Vashon?
Yes.
Mr. McIntosh?
No?
Mr. Green?
Yes.
Ms. Gillian?
No.
Mr. Dishman?
Yes.
President Mason?
No.
5 yeses, 4 noes.
Okay, moving on. Tabled ordinances. Resolution 2-25. It's over, ain't it?
We did that.
It died.
It's on the other business.
12.4.
We don't.
We on
died,
other business?
Bring this up.
I don't have to read it.
No. All right, we're done. Are we on to other business, sir?
We're doing table. Leave the table. Right.
Does anyone bring them off the table?
No. Other business.
Okay, ordinance 12-24 and 27-24 that are tabled.
Is there anybody who want to take it off?
Nope. Not me.
Okay, moving on to other business. Yes.
Mr. President, given all the questions that came with the public hearings and given questions that I've received from the public regarding the advantages and benefits of annexing not-for-profit parcels, and other questions, I would like to, I know we can't make a motion, but I would like to respectfully request that ordinances 29-24, 30-24, 31-24, and 32-24 pertaining to the annexation of those 4 parcels be reviewed by the Land and Traffic Committee.
I agree.
It's just a request. It's not a motion. It's just a request that the Land and Traffic Committee consider reviewing those prior to the February meeting.
It doesn't need put in a motion. When those committees are established for this year, they could simply, the chairman can call a meeting and invite whoever they'd like to invite to that meeting.
Thank you.
Yeah,
It doesn't need to be a formal motion.
I respectfully think that's a great idea too. We need to dive into this more, and that gives the public a little bit more outcoming that they can come and speak at those meetings as well. So I also just think that's a great idea too.
Thank you, sir.
Certainly not something that I had heard earlier, that all was in favor of it. Okay. Is there any other business?
Yeah. We have Charlize Jamison. Oh, that's you. Or Charlene. Charlize.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Evening.
Charlize Jamison, 4501 North Wheeling in Muncie. Maya Angelou had a very famous poem that says, when someone shows you who they are, believe them the first time. And when it comes time to appoint leaders, what traits does the chief executive look for? Where on that list of traits does character and decency appear? I would certainly hope that those traits would be near the top. Recently, our city's chief executive decided it would be in our city's best interest to sideline 2 excellent, talented, and knowledgeable citizens who have served with distinction on the Muncie Land Bank, one of whom was its founder. Both were up for reappointment, but instead the mayor chose to appoint former Delaware County Councilor Ryan Webb to replace one of those individuals. I won't use up my allotted time going over Ryan's resume. It's embarrassing to the county. It's embarrassing to Muncie. The question really isn't about Ryan Webb. It's about Mayor Ridenour and the lack of judgment, removing competent people in favor of someone with such little character. Oh, and who was the other person that the mayor appointed to the Muncie Land Bank? Himself. With this appointment, Mayor Ridenour, you have just breathed new life into the embarrassment that is Ryan Webb. Delaware County voters knew better and rejected his reelection in the recent primary. They saw the kind of individual that he is. I would ask Mayor Ridenour if he cannot see that for himself. Mayor, would you have us believe that out of 60,000 Muncie residents, you couldn't find anyone with character and decency to serve? Here's a hint. You should have simply reappointed the two gentlemen that already had the right stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Is there anyone else wishing to speak? Oh, that's it. That's it. And with that being said, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Second.
Motion's been made by Councilman McIntosh, seconded it by Councilman Green. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Meeting adjourned.
Good, man.
That was really.